Okay, sweet. Hello, everybody. My name is Alenka, and I'm here with a really good friend, Euge Tipaldi, Euge, as we call her in Canada. She's on Salt Spring Island right now, but we met each other 7 years back in Whistler. We connected over snowboarding, and over the years, our friendship has evolved from snowboarding to passion for water, surfing, hosting a retreat together. First in Whistler, and then another one is happening in Costa Rica. And yeah, I thought it would be really cool to get her on here because her mindset has been going through a lot of shifts and changes. And I thought it would be super cool to kind of just chat about that and see, yeah, how maybe what kind of knowledge she can bring into the world while going through that process.
Hola,
So,
hola. How's everyone doing? Hi. Hola, Lenkis.
hey, um, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Maybe where you from, what lights your fire these days.
Thank you. That's a good way to start. Um, I was born in Ushuaia, Argentina. It's the southest city in the whole continent. And since a young age, I started moving, wandering around the world, always driven by sport. So I know and I move around the world following that passion of snowboarding, surfing, biking, always in movement and sliding, especially these days if the element is in motion, like surfing. Um, yeah, it's very interesting because you, Alenkis, met me. You have seen the whole picture of it. The last 7 years has been very transformative in my life. Um, like I said, following this passion and this movement, and always thinking that I needed it to find my goals, my things. It's like because I'm always surrounded through around athletes, I thought there was something kind of like wrong with me. I was like, I don't have that kind of like passion. I'm not driven by that. And it's recent that I discovered that I learned through embodiment and I move through feelings. So I move through life with things that make me feel good. And that has shifted my way of perceive the world. And I think that's what's happening these days. That like I was in a mindset of scarcity, of fear, of like missing out, of like surviving mode, of comparison. And during this past 2 years, I've been slowly transitioning to the abundance field. And it's kind of crazy. It's funny because I woke up today and the only thing that I can say is like stoked to be here. And that's something that you had on your Instagram, you know?
For a
And
long time.
I'm like, so it's a thing. It's not a phrase. It's like, it's a feeling. So
Hmm,
yeah, I think, yeah.
very nice. Um, so going a little bit about, you were talking a little bit about places and sports. So even though you want to create your life not from your passions as much as what feels good, um, still you've been moving between, the tropical and the snow, so the mountains and the ocean, quite a bit in the last few years. And that is mostly oriented by the sports that you do. Um,
Yeah.
so I would say, how do you balance that? Like, how do you balance that moving around places for the sports, but then still living a life from something that's not as related to sports and more related to what feels good inside?
Hmm. How do I balance that? Hmm. I think that that's what I'm learning these days. I think that I don't have an answer, a clear answer on the how, because I am living my life. The biggest shift that I have done is living life and experimenting and just following what makes me feel good. And for many years, the sport made me feel good, but I had the feeling, or what I'm understanding is that I was chasing a feeling that it wasn't, that the sport wasn't going to give me, that I needed it to find inside of me.
Hmm.
Right? It's just like, so being surrounded by nature really allowed me to quiet my mind. I was like, what I've learned all these years, that I was moving um to places that give me peace of mind, because I have a really loud and strong mind, right? So it's like the only thing that I could perceive at some point was that the information that was coming through my eyes in the cities or in different places was too loud, too noises, and affect my thoughts. But then when I would like move to like sports, or like when I moved to nature, my mindset shift. It was more grounded, it was more calm. And I've always um I've always tried to find that calmness of the mind through sports. And I think that that's where my relationship with sports got a little bit unhealthy, I would say,
Hmm.
because I was um is if like I was demanding something from the sport. So like, give
Okay.
me peace of mind, right? Give
Yeah.
me the quiet,
Bring
instead
me
of
peace.
like, right?
Yeah.
um so I right now I had to step back. And I think that's what I say, that I'm building a new relationship. I had to like remove myself from the noise, like not the noise, from like from the constant doing and chasing that silence and that peace that sports will give me, to find it inside of me when I am in a slow motion. And from this place, rebuild that relationship from joy and enjoyment and the fulfillment that sports and the mountains give me.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense. Yeah, because we always, I guess many of us, when you're saying that you're chasing that feeling from the sport, then yeah, we do demand. We try to, if we don't get something out of a sport that particular day, we don't feel as good as if we do get it. It's never just a day on the mountain. It's a day on the mountain, but come back feeling good always. So the
Exactly.
expectation is quite high, but it doesn't always work that way in your favor. So it's hard to keep doing it and keep feeling good about it. That's why people push their limits, and that's why they need to progress to feel that.
Sounds familiar.
Very
Right?
familiar.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's, yeah.
yeah, you want to add
No,
something?
I say that it's really interesting to notice these things, right? Just like it's never about the sport. It's about
Yeah,
how I was showing up when I put my bindings on, or when I was like thinking on like what the mountain will give me that day, right? And now that I step
yeah,
back, and we talk about this a lot with you, Alenkis, because we have a life that we absorb a lot of experiences and information constantly. And sometimes, at least for me, for many years, I never stopped to process. And we say absorb, process. And
very
most of the
important.
time, I skip the process part. It's like absorb, absorb, absorb.
And then you're
um,
just like a big sponge, and you're growing, and you can't hold it, and you're like,
yeah, I was like, I need to chill. I need to
yeah.
embody some of the learning experiences. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to touch based on when we're talking about this like movement between places is, have you experienced any culture shocks? Um,
Mm.
Being in Canada, coming from Argentina, living in Costa Rica, spending time in Indonesia, have you do you feel like a bit of a resentment because all these countries are so different from each other? People live their lives differently. Different things are important and valued. So, how do
Yeah.
you stay centered when you're overwhelmed with constant changing of information?
Also learning that.
Yeah,
I think you never end up like learning these things. And it's a really cool question. I think that's a big threshold for me right now. As you know, I feel that I was escaping from Argentina when I was young. I was moving, and I was like, I would resent it. I was like, no, that's fuck. That's not good. I'm just like, really. And you met me that point. And we were like, and I was like, no, Argentina is not good. And you were like, what do you mean? Argentina is amazing. And there's like those little things that like finding friends that will have a different perception of a reality that I lived was like, oh,
Hmm.
okay. I'm a very curious human, so I never, even though sometimes I can be like, no, this is not. Then I'm like, I think about it, right? And you know me, it's like a couple days later, I'm kind of like, oh, remember you said this? I think I was there's something inside of me that needs to be checked. So I've moved a lot, and I really like absorb from each culture what is served me to create my own identity, um, thinking that what I had in the beginning wasn't me. And I came to Canada and I found like people are very organized. They're like very respectful. Now I for me, Canadians, and I say with this with a lot of respect and love that I appreciate it because they help me a lot. They're like well trained humans, you know, like they're domesticated in the best possible way. That's why this country works so well in so many aspects, right? And if I think of Argentina or South America, we have no boundaries. Like there's like there's like boundaries are like flowy and movement. So like your space become my space and like we flip and we shift and that can be a bit of overwhelming for someone that lives here and it is a bit of a shock. I personally find that I found my balance because coming here and allowing everything that I've learned from Central America and South America to be part of my essence and still being in the respectful line, it's it's really cool. And with Indonesia was a really big shock for me. I was like, it really made me questions. I got to Indonesia and I was afraid. I felt fear in my body. And I knew that fear didn't belong to me. Why would I be fear of a beautiful country? And I've realized that I've been brainwashed for ideologies like yeah, it's like the Muslim aspect of what that means in my world and the world that I live. So I was like really in surviving mode for a while. And when I started meeting the humans and when I started like really open myself to that beautiful culture, I start loving them. I take from them, you know, like the mosquitoes braying every 4 hours, you know, those things that people go there and it's like, this is life. I was like, dude, they're grateful every 4 hours. They remind themselves to be grateful. What are we not taking that, right? So that really allowed me to question myself. How many things am I afraid that I don't know, you know, that someone
Yeah,
planted the seed of fear?
totally, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm glad you talked about rules because you're not somebody who plays by the rules.
no,
That's
no,
very, very obvious from afar. And I'm not either, which is why I have respect for that because it takes guts to live from that mindset. Of course, we don't hurt anyone, we don't like hurting anyone, but we also don't want to obey rules that makes no sense, right?
exactly,
So
exactly.
rules are good because they give you structure,
Yeah,
but I think you're someone that your structure comes from your rhythm and your flow.
yeah,
So why do you
yeah.
think that's important?
What I'm discovering now is that you set up your own rules by common sense. But to have a common sense, you need to have your values well in alignment, you know, or you need to live your values. You need to like really embody them and you need to, and I'm learning this. This is like, again, of like the level of consciousness that I'm experiencing now allow me to like have these thoughts and say like, who am I? What am I? And then you live from that, you know? So like breaking a rule can be fun when it makes no sense. And I'm always like, you know, like I questions like, who said that? Like, why are we following this script that nobody really wrote and it's been passed from generations and generations? Why don't we question them and like see if, you know, at least like realizing that we have a choice. I think that's the biggest thing. Like
Yeah.
we, yeah, right. And like when you start realizing that, it's like everything is a choice, you know. And there's some rules that we, and I think that I'm in Canada because I needed it, that structure. I'm learning from this structure, but I'm not being brainwashed that that's the way. I'm taking what it serves me to really keep being a great human on earth and living through my um, values.
Great. I love that.
Right?
Um, okay, now let's talk a little bit about what's happening at the end of September. What are you doing? What's the event, the project that
Oh
you've
my
been working?
God. Costa Rica is happening, and I could not be more excited about that. I think that timing is perfect. You have been my greatest supporter on this transition, and yeah, this walk through something that, yeah, I needed a little bit more confident to build up to it. And I get to share this because my friend saw something that I didn't see in me yet, but now I see it. So it's pretty cool. So like now I can really step into my worth, you know, that certainty that I have something to give to others. Costa Rica is a beautiful space that I'm creating. It's in Peninsula Osa, and it's about connecting to sports and the ocean. I've been teaching sports for 20 years, skiing and snowboarding around the world, and what I'm realizing that I wasn't teaching really a technique. I was really teaching humans how to be aware of the environment that we are surrounded with. When you come out of like different places and you just immerse yourself in nature, you think that you're practicing a sport, but you're actually connecting to the environment, and the sport is the cherry of the cake,
Mhm.
right? I was like, we don't come to like the idea of like, yeah, we're gonna be surfing, yeah, it's gonna be amazing, we're gonna be grounding, we're gonna be wild, because that's what the jungle gives us. um, the jungle is unapologetic, and that's something that we want to practice. Like I've learned through life that we mirror to nature, and that's a big part of it. So what does the ocean give us as women? It's the rhythm, right? The calmness, the
Mhm.
chaos, the strength that we have, right? How can we find ourselves in that we see so clear? And same with the jungle. The jungle is loud, it's noisy, it's unapologetic, it's just, and they coexist. And you know, then I see ourselves just behaving in a room, just like being quiet and just like playing a role, and it's like, fuck it, no, we're not here to perform. I'm like, I'm done performing, I'm done playing that role of like, I'm gonna be your host. And I'm like, yeah, I'm grounded, but I'm also real. I'm a human and
Mhm.
I'm living this. So I
Mhm.
think that the greatest thing about this is just come as you are, come to be yourself, and it's gonna be awesome.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for you. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
I agree. Um, Great. I think that's it for today from my end. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh my
Um,
God.
let's do this again, please.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Linkis. This is awesome. I'm very
Yeah,
excited. All right.
me too.
I love you.
Bye. Talk soon.
Bye.